Hello, everyone, and welcome to WP Roundtable. We've got another great guest today. My name's Jason Crawford, coming to you from Medellin, Colombia.
Hey guys, I'm Kyle, coming to you from Jackson, Michigan. Really happy to be here, and I'm excited to have a very special guest on the show today for episode 92, Mr. Brad Touesnard from Delicious Brains. How you doing tonight, Brad?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great. Super glad to have you on the show. So Brad is the founder of a company called Delicious Brains. They make a product called WP Migrate DV Pro and a number of other things that we're going to discuss. So we've got an hour of his time, and we're going to make the most of it. But before we get into learning about Brad a little bit more, we're going to talk about our quick picks of the week real fast. My quick pick of the week is the Delicious Brains blog. Now, I think this is a really, really special blog, and if you are a developer out there, you're going to love it because Brad has this thing about not putting out fluff, and I think is kind of mandated on his team, some very effectively, that only the highest quality posts are going to be published on this blog, and these are quite extensive. They're usually high-level topics. There's some stuff about Let's Encrypt, about Varnish versus Nginx Fast CGI. That one's really cool. Some plugin reviews, Vagrant versus Docker. There's some really, really good stuff. HTTP2 and HTTPS. Some of these articles are just fantastic, but they go really, really in depth. So it's one of the best WordPress development blogs out there that I have found, just because the posts are so extensive, so authoritative, and really, really well done. So I recommend you check it out.
All right, my pick of the week. A while back, I picked Zoom as I was working on a project, an educational project, and I've been using that a lot lately for conferences and face-to-face meetings or online digital face-to-face meetings. So just a big two thumbs up to them. I really enjoyed working with them. But also, Uber has got a conferencing application out, so I'm going to have to give that a try. I hope everybody else at least takes a look. I'll try to throw a link in the show notes, but I'm pretty sure if Uber's doing it, you can Google Uber conference and find right to it. So,
wait, are you saying Hoover like the vacuum cleaner?
Uber, man. Uber, the everybody's personal driver, Uber.
Awesome. That's great.
That's weird. So they're getting into video conferencing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, looks like it.
Interesting.
Brad, do you have anything to share with us tonight?
No, not really. I mean, I don't really follow news. So, okay, I'll share that with you. I used to be a news junkie. I used to go to Hacker News every day and spend probably an hour a day on there, rummaging through the stuff. And at some point, I just decided no more. I just kicked it like a bad habit. And honestly, it's my life isn't any worse. Let's put it that way.
That's a good pick. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So good stuff, and we'll put links, somewhere hopefully where you can find them if you care. I don't know what link to drop for. Brad. We'll put no link to represent not visiting and reading the news. All right.
I do follow, or I watch Colbert Report every day at lunchtime, just the first 15 minutes, just to get the quick, recap of what's going on in the world, I guess, and to stay current with trends and stuff, relatively current, because otherwise, yeah, you kind of lose touch with society.
Yeah.
With pop culture, I guess. Yeah.
I like that. I like using a comedic twist news source for getting caught up. There's something that's just so I don't know what the word is, but so efficient about using a comedic news source, because you get not just the headline, but the gist of the story in a punchline all at once. So you get context, you get the attitude, you get perspective so quick.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I mean, Colbert's, a genius, I think. And another good one is John Oliver. He does a show called Weekend Update on HBO.
That's fantastic. Fantastic.
That's a weekly thing, so it's definitely worth watching. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's learn about you, Brad, if you don't mind. We're going to talk a little bit about your background first and get our audience caught up to speed. And for anybody who wants to know a little bit more about Brad, he is not just the founder of the company Delicious Brains and the cool products, which we're going to talk about, but he's also the co-host of a podcast, Apply Filters. .fm is where you can find it. It's a great show, one of my favorite podcasts out there. And he's been a guest host on some other shows that I've listened to. Most recently, just a week or two ago, he was on Carrie Dill's podcast. She was on our show last year, and she has a podcast over at officehours.fm. And I really enjoyed that interview. So you can learn a lot more about Brad. We won't be too redundant in this show, but we will get a little bit of background. So Brad, take us way, way back. Before your career got started, what sort of things did you want to do when you were a kid?
I think, early it was probably like policeman, firefighter, that kind of thing. But kind of later, kind of in junior high school, I definitely thought I was going to be an engineer. Some of my cousins were engineers, and I really looked up to them, so I thought, that's what I wanted to do. And I liked taking apart radios and stuff when I was a kid, and Legos. But then some teacher took us to a computer lab, organized a field trip because our school didn't have a computer lab. So he took us in a bus and organized a teacher at a different school to teach us how to hand code HTML in 1997. So this is like how many people in the world knew how to hand code HTML in 1997, right? It was not that many. So I feel like I was very fortunate to, have that kind of series of events happen. Because after that, as soon as they showed how you could look at the source of a web page, of any web page, and you could learn from that and reverse engineer things, I was like, that was it. The rest is history.
That's pretty cool. So you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, working for yourself in, as I understand it, a number of different roles. What kind of jobs did you actually have before you started your first business?
Yeah, so I started, what kind of job? Yeah, before, I actually started my first business like mowing lawns in my hometown before I actually got a job anywhere. Anyone actually gave me a job. And then I think what happened was I got a job as a busboy at a local resort. And so just bussing tables, but I also worked at so I got into this kind of deals, this arrangement with the owner of the marina across the water from the resort. And the deal was I built his website for, I don't know, super cheap. I don't know if he even paid me at all. And he gave me a summer job in the convenience store. And I thought that I would just be a clerk in the convenience store, like stockkeeper and stuff. But it turned out that they were going to have a bakery in the convenience store as well. So whoever took the job had to be a baker. And so he told me this later, though, of course, right? Like after I built the website, right, to see if I would back out of the deal, right? And I was like, nope, I'm going to be a baker. So for that summer, I learned how to bake, basically. I had no baking experience whatsoever. And I was baking cookies, bread from scratch, rolls, everything. I ruined quite a few batches of bread before I got it right.
That's like the most hilarious exchange I can imagine.
I'm actually kind of taken aback by this one a little bit. So
you will work for work? And if you can build a website, then you're qualified to make bread.
Yeah. This happens today, though, still, right? You hear it all the time. Designers or developers, they get, a client coming to them and saying, oh, yeah, I'll have tons of work for you later. You just, do this one project for me, at this rock bottom rate, and we're going to have all kinds of, a long relationship. So I don't think it's a new concept,
Yeah,
like,
but I've never heard of anybody actually getting a new job as a baker in exchange for this. Like, yeah, they have all the promises in long-term work, but normally it's in that same field or related.
Right. I went from developer to baker. Yeah, it's quite the jump.
So I actually want to step back a moment and ask you about your previous response, because I really thought Kyle was going to jump on this. So you were actually building HTML websites during the days of dial-up. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
What was it like to upload a website with dial-up?
Oh, no. That's boring. So a website back then was like, less than a meg, right? It was like, I don't know, small website probably be like 300 kilobytes probably, because images, of course, were way smaller because a CRT monitor back then was like, 13, 14 inches as well, and horrible resolution. So images were tiny. But what's interesting is that I was actually running MP3 websites on dial-up. So I had an MP3 website that in Canada we have a thing called the Much Music Countdown, and it's just basically a chart. It's like the Billboard charts, right, of like the top songs. And so I had a site that had that Much Music Countdown, all of the songs in MP3 format, and I was uploading them from my machine so I was downloading them to my machine from somewhere and then uploading them to GeoCities accounts and allowing people to download them off those accounts. And so I was uploading like 3, 4, 5, 6 megabyte songs over dial-up. And then GeoCities was fine, like as soon as they get popular, GeoCities find them and crush them. So I was constantly doing this. And my brother loved the phone, so I was fighting with him for the phone line as well. And he'd like, if he felt like being a jerk, he'd pick up the phone, kill my connection. I'd have to restart the upload again. It was just crazy, man. It was the Wild West. But I made a bit of money off of advertising on those sites back then, so it was pretty cool.
I just can't imagine the FTP process at all. How that would even work, and what kind of manager you would have to even handle that. That blows my mind in itself. So,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, I remember one of the first things when I first got a computer, I tried to put music on an old floppy, and what do you know, one complete song doesn't fit on a 3.5 floppy, and I had to have like 3 of them to put like one song on there, and they didn't exactly start and end at the same place, and it was.
Yeah, I think I had a
internet back then
when I was doing this stuff, and I think it was a Pentium 9. It might have been an earlier machine, but anyway, all I remember is that I couldn't do anything else but play a song. Like that's all it. The computer had no multitasking whatsoever when the song was playing because it was just too much for it to cope. So, yeah, good old days.
So at some point you decided bakery, not the long-term plan. Was that a big moment for you, or did you know all along, or was there some catastrophe that made you say, you know what, forget this bakery thing?
The summer was over and I went back to school.
Okay.
I actually kind of enjoyed that summer. Because if it wasn't for the baking, it would have been a really boring job because it would have just been a lot of, hanging around. Back then, Wi-Fi wasn't as prevalent, and I didn't have a portable computer even, so I couldn't have a laptop there to play around with. So it was kind of boring if the baking hadn't have been an option. Yeah.
Wait, is the website still up by any chance?
You mean the MP3 site or any of them?
No, the one where you did the baking job.
Oh, actually, yes. I think if you go,
No way.
if you go to archive.org, I think you can find it.
Oh. Wow. What's the actual domain, though?
I think it's dbmarine.com or dbmarina.com, something like that. Yep, found it. dbmarina.com. If you go there, you can go way back all the way to 2001 and 2000. And so if you go all the way back to 2000, 2001, you'll see the original work that I did on that site.
VB Marina. I gotta see this.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
It's got an animation of a flying seagull.
Oh, that is great.
Wait, we got a link on this? I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm spelling VB wrong.
No. Here, in the chat. Take a look.
I gotta see this.
Don't forget to bookmark.
Nice.
This was produced by Spider Web Solutions?
Am I screen sharing this?
I can.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. Some of it's a little broken. Some of the images aren't coming in.
So Spider Web Solutions was your was the name you attached to yourself at the time?
Yeah, that was my brilliant branding.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
It was, Spider Web Solutions. I actually ended up selling that domain just recently.
Okay.
When I bought that domain. So at the time that I bought that domain, I think it was 1997 or 98. I could have probably bought like basketball.com or something, you know, just like. What the heck? I could have bought something valuable, and instead I bought Spider. What the heck, man?
That's so great. Oh man. Well, we could talk about the golden age for a long time, I'm sure. But what happened next?
So I graduated, went to college, took computer science, did a bunch of co-op work terms, gained some experience that way. Started in my second year of college, I started a web hosting company with my roommate at the time, and we went out and, since college kids have so much money, we decided to drop 10K on servers and instead of leasing them because we were super smart. And then because there wasn't good bandwidth options in Atlantic Canada, we drove those servers literally to Montreal and put them in a data center there and on racks. And we started getting customers. But basically, we put all this money into it, had 0 customers, 0 revenue. And I don't recommend starting a business that way for anyone. But it ended up working out, and I didn't really. So my role was mainly to build all the software. So I built the control panel from scratch, like the web hosting control panel, to add email addresses or update your DNS or like all that stuff. So I had to learn like how the server software worked, and then build like a web interface for it. So it was a huge learning experience, and so that was pretty fun to do. It was a ton of work.
Oh man!
And then I built the billing system from scratch as well. Just pretty much everything, all the software. We didn't buy any software. I built the website to sell it and the e-commerce system, all that. So, and then my business partner. Then I stepped away from the business. I participated a little bit, but it couldn't support both of us, myself and my business partner. So my business partner stuck in the business and ran it full time as an employee essentially, and I kind of jumped in and out doing like part-time work, and that's kind of how we ran it for, I don't know, 8 or so years, and then we just sold it. When the heck was that? 2012. The end of 2012. And that's kind of how I was able to start this new business. So, because we had, sold the other business and had revenue coming in. Well, I had revenue coming in every month because I sold my shares. So I was able to, hire someone and, comfortably work on this business without feeling like there's a edge of a cliff coming,
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And now you've got developers working for you too. Do you ever like when they're working on their problems and struggling with something with a WordPress plugin or something, do you ever just sit back and say, back in my day when I was writing control panels for servers and you were just a kid and
Oh yeah, I pull that up all the time. Flip that card up. No, my team is like, some of my team is more experienced than I am. So, like, one of the guys I hired started coding, or was already coding when I was born. So,
Wow.
1981, he was already writing software, and I was when I saw that on his his resume, I was like, holy crap, that's crazy.
Jeez.
They had computers in 1981.
Oh man.
I don't remember anything before 95.
Yeah. That's a lot of experience. So you have a lot of collective experience in the Delicious Brains team. How big is the team now?
We are 6. We just hired our 6th about 2 weeks ago, I think. Matt was on trial with us for about like three or 4 weeks. He was on trial with us, and then it worked out great, and so we brought him on full time. Matt Shaw is his name.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Fantastic. So what roles does everyone play within the business? Do you have just developers on your team or anybody else?
Yeah, this is becoming a problem. Right now, everyone's a developer, everyone's a support person, everyone's a writer on our blog. What else does everyone do? Probably other things too that I'm forgetting. But it's our support has grown to the point where it's a little bit of a burden, more for Jeff was, up until Matt was hired, Jeff was the only one in the North America time zones. So he was kind of the only one that was kind of online during those hours where a lot of the support would happen. So he's taken on a lot of the support. So I'm going to be looking to actually just started. This is fresh off the presses. Just this week, I'm starting to look for a support person, customer support person, dedicated to that. Up until this point, I thought that was not a very good thing to hire for us, for our products, because I felt that they might be too technical, and that a person that's not technical handling support would just end up, passing everything through to developers anyway. So what's the point of having them there? But I think that was my assumption there was that every customer support person is non-technical, which is, I think, wrong. You can certainly hire support people that are technical and that have very good troubleshooting skills. So I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I was thinking that way. I blame everyone else. How about that? because no one called me on it. I used to say it all the time. I'd say, I feel like our products are too technical. I can't hire a support person, because people would say, well, why don't you have any dedicated support staff? And everyone's like, okay, well, whatever. But if anybody tells me that in the future, I'll say, I think you could probably hire a technical support person. So
we're gonna blame it on the rain.
I haven't hired anyone yet, so we'll see, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Nice. So what exactly are you looking for in this person?
I haven't written the job ad yet.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's going to be someone with technical skills. So someone that's I don't even know. I'm really in the early stages of like researching like what's the typical kind of skill set that people go after for customer support, like technical support people. So yeah, I'll have to just do some more research. I'm not really sure what's a typical ask, I guess, because I don't really want to hire another developer and stick them in a support role and say, no, you can't write code, So I want someone's technical, but not so technical that they're a developer. So it's like, do those people exist? These are the questions I need to answer, right?
Right.
So yeah. Maybe you guys have answers to those questions. I don't know.
No.
Good. Carry on.
Of my favorite support people, there's a cat over at iThemes. Still have not figured out if this is a real cat or a person that actually answers support questions. But so my second question was, given your startings in business, have you considered opening a bakery within your WordPress business?
Right. Well, see, we're a remote team, so we'd have to be like a delivery service, I guess. I guess that could work. Maybe like drone cupcakes or something.
Oh, there you go. Try the new Amazon. You can have Amazon ship them with their new little drone delivery system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think Amazon's drones are going to be beefy, right? Because they got to carry heavy things, right?
Well, maybe you can have like a minimum order so that they're beefy pieces of bread.
That's a good idea. Yeah, you have to order a dozen cupcakes.
The fascinating age we live in, for sure. These kinds of things are possible, and I'm sure we will see a day in the not-too-distant future where traditional brick-and-mortar companies actually become remote, and we never thought they could. But yeah. So you're looking for a support person. That's big news. We're going to have to tell the world that Delicious Brains is looking for that perfect person. Mm-hmm. And my experience in that sort of stuff has been definitely in like the EDD community. Pippin has a lot. I'm sure Pippin would have a lot to say about that sort of thing. And you
but Pippin cheats, don't forget.
Yeah.
Pippin cheats? Oh, I got to hear this one.
Well, he cheats in a good way. So Pippin hires. I think the last time I checked, most of Pippin or all of Pippin's hires have been people that have contributed to EDD in some way already. So he has already worked with them somewhat, which is great, right? Because he already knows that they're capable and that he's already seen their work. And so it's really just a matter of flipping the switch. And converting them to full time. I mean, you have to convince them to come on board and stuff too. But yeah, that's what I mean by Pippin cheat.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty remarkable. It's quite the privilege, and you're exactly right. He does have this strong community, and a lot of developers working with and around his products. So it's pretty easy for him to tap somebody on the shoulder and say, you want to join the team after all. So does Delicious Brains have any network or anything akin to that you might be able to tap?
Well, we've got our mailing list, all the people that read our blog. So that's a few thousand people. So that's, pretty good audience to tap into to send out the word, I guess. but yeah, beyond that, we don't really have like a community per se. Like our main product, Migrate DB Pro, is kind of it's a tool, right? Like people don't get too excited about modifying tools, right? Like ooh, look at this hammer mod look at this awesome thing that I did to my hammer. You know what I mean? Like it's you just want your hammer to do the job, right? And do it well. You don't really want to have to be messing with it, right? Because otherwise, then you're not actually doing your job that you're trying to get done. So I feel that's probably why we don't have the community around our product so much, which is fine. It's just a different type of product, right? Our other product might lend itself to a community a bit more. It's so young now; it's hard to say. I'm talking about WP Offload S3. So that product, I feel like it could lend itself to community kind of contributions, especially around like integrations. So the plugin itself won't work really. I should probably just. Do you guys know what this even is that I'm talking about?
I know what it is.
So WP Offload S3 allows you to get your media library offloaded to S3. So if you upload a file to your media library, it will automatically copy it to S3 and then start serving it from S3. Or if you've configured CloudFront, Amazon CloudFront, it'll serve it through CloudFront. So that works fine with WordPress core and most plugins, but some of the more complex plugins do, some funny things. Like, for example, NextGen Gallery, that plugin doesn't use the media library to handle the files. So it doesn't really work with our plugin at all because our plugin works with WordPress core and its functions. So we have to do a special integration for NextGen if we want it to support all the users that use NextGen. And we already have a bunch of integrations already. We've got WooCommerce and EDD, MetaSlider is another one, and several others. WPML, that's another big one. So we've just kind of been supporting the biggest ones that kind of people tell us about. But it would be, and we are encouraging this. We're encouraging people to build integrations with their plugins so that they can use our product with their product. So we'll see if that that happens. I'm gonna have to talk to the WP Ninjas guys and Pippin about kind of fostering the community, because those guys have done a terrific job with that, right? Like they have really strong communities around their products. So yeah, and also what doesn't work, right? Because I'm sure they have stories of what not to do too, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. So interesting stuff. And definitely it strikes me that a lot of the things that you talk about and advice you give and reflections that you make, that you do think a lot critically about what's unique about your particular business and your particular product. And when you describe the reasons that things are this way or not that way, or because our product is different than other people's, our product is more technical, or this or that, or our business is this way. It's not a cookie cutter type business, and you don't think of it that way. So it's always made me reflect a little bit more on when I look at my business, what's different about us? Why are we not having the same success as someone else, or why is our community or this or that a little bit different than someone else's? But it is important to just think critically about what's unique about your particular business, and you can't compare apples and oranges, I guess.
Yeah, I was just listening to James Laws, WP Ninjas. Him and Jean Galea of, or I probably didn't pronounce that right.
WP Mayor.
Yeah, WP Mayor. Jean and James have started a podcast called Mastermind.fm, and James was just talking about fostering his community and that sort of stuff. It was pretty interesting stuff. So, yeah, check that out for sure.
Yeah, that's a brand new show that they've been starting. I've been trying to tune into a couple episodes too. And podcasts are something that you actually listen to a lot of, in fact.
Yeah, I've kind of cut back a little bit. So I'll tell you the ones that I think are really, really great. I don't listen to very many WordPress podcasts anymore. I listen to mainly business podcasts. I started with Startups for the Rest of Us, so startupsfortherestofus.com. They do those are two guys that were working day jobs that have gone out on their own and started software businesses. So, very, very relatable. And then the other one is Tropical MBA podcast. And that one, I love that one because I love to travel, and those guys travel the world and run their businesses remotely. And which is what I would be doing probably if I didn't have two small children.
Don't let the children hold you back.
Pardon?
Once they get old enough to travel, don't let the children hold you back.
Yeah.
That
and my wife's doing her PhD, so that kind of ties us down too. My wife's going to start her writing period soon. Well, not soon, in about a year. So we're starting to make some plans. We might hit the road for a few months in a year's time.
To make it to South America, let me know for sure.
Yeah, you're in Colombia?
That's right.
Yes. Yeah, Colombia looks like a beautiful country. I'd love to make down there. We're going to Costa Rica in April, so that'll be my first trip to Central America.
You know where you're going?
Pardon?
You know where in Costa Rica you're going?
Yeah, we're flying into San Jose and then making our way westward, kind of northwestward, up through Monteverde, and then off to the west coast, which is Tamarindo, I believe. So yeah, we're kind of doing that track. That's the plan. We're only there for 7 days, so we gotta hustle.
Last time I was out that way, I almost got tipped over on a boat by a whale.
Okay, I understand what you said. I thought you said tipped over by a goat on a whale.
On a boat.
How did the goat get on the whale?
No, the boat driver decided he was going to chase a whale, and the whale disappeared, and next thing we know, he almost came up right under us.
Wow. So do you do a lot of traveling then in down where you're at?
I did until my girlfriend got pregnant. So we've got a 2-month-old, so we're waiting and going to start traveling again. We're not going to jump right on it, but yeah, eventually.
Yeah. So have you listened to Tropical MBA podcast?
Travel Colombia podcast?
Tropical MBA.
Oh, no, I have not. I just threw that on there. I'm going to check that out.
Oh, man, yeah, you're going to love that. And definitely check out, they have a community called the Dynamite Circle, and it's basically entrepreneurs, a forum where entrepreneurs can go and organize themselves into meetups all over the world. So it's basically digital nomads, right? So it's digital nomad meetups anywhere, all over the U.S., all over the world, everywhere.
Nice. I just opened it up. I've got it here. I'll have to dig into that later.
Yeah. So I'll probably join the Dynamite Circle if we do end up hitting the road. Just for that, just so I know when the meetups are happening and so I can join in because I love meeting up with other entrepreneurs and hearing their stories. Right. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
MicroConf is a great conference as well. That's the Startups for the Rest of Us podcast. That conference grew out of that podcast. They do it in Las Vegas every year. I've gone the last 2 years, and it was excellent. And every year the WordPress contingent grows and grows. So So the first year I went, we were like 5, 6 guys that running our little WordPress plugin shops, and then last year it was like I think there was like 18 people running WordPress businesses there. It was just huge explosion of growth. So yeah. I mean, and some of the people there you would know, like Corey Miller, iThemes, and Joshua Strebel from Pagely. Like, so I guess more people in the WordPress community are hearing about that conference, and probably, yeah, I might have something to do with this.
So interesting.
I hope I do. I really do, because it's a great conference, great group of people that go to it. So well worth it. And it's in Vegas. I mean,
Vegas. Right? I've never been out there. I'm not as well traveled as many of my cohorts. Working on it though. So MicroConf sounds amazing. I've heard nothing but great things. I'm curious. You say the WordPress contingent has been growing. Looking at your network of entrepreneurs outside of the WordPress bubble, have you seen in the time you've been doing this more entrepreneurs with successful companies moving towards WordPress in any way, or deciding I want to get in on this WordPress stuff?
So WordPress tends to be a first step for entrepreneurs. So it's usually people that are working a day job, or they're transitioning from some other venture, or not, even then it's rare for them to go with WordPress first. It's usually like a starting point when you have like zero revenue, or very little revenue. WordPress is a great place to start because you can get that early success. Whereas if you try to start a SaaS right from the get-go, so software as a service, there's something called the slow ramp of death, the slow SaaS ramp of death. And what that means is basically it just takes a really long time to get traction, to get monthly, to get people to pay you monthly for your service. It just takes a really long time. It's kind of this slow, gradual thing. You have to figure out your product market fit and all this stuff to actually start to see some traction. Whereas with WordPress, if you identify a problem area and you can find people that are willing to pay for it, the build time is pretty quick relative to building a software service, and you can see some dollars rolling in really quickly. And you can build maybe 1-2 plugins and then try to build your next SaaS. So you kind of, Rob Walling calls it the stair-step approach. So the first stair being WordPress plugins, and then maybe second step being a couple of WordPress plugins, and then third step maybe being a SaaS. And that's pretty much exactly what we've done.
Yeah.
Right. We've launched our second WordPress plugin, and we're working on our SaaS right now, which is Datahawk. So if you go to datahawk.io, that's our landing page for our SaaS product that we're working on. And
is that something that you want to tell us more about?
Yeah, sure. So Datahawk is the solution to the database merging problem that many of our customers complain to us about. So a lot of people mistake that MigrateDB Pro actually merges data. So like they'll be developing locally, right, and they'll want to push their data up to their staging site or a live site even. And some people just expect it to magically take all the changes that they've made locally and like somehow figure out like the changes that have happened on the live site and kind of merge them together. That's extremely difficult, and that's what we're working on merging those changes, dealing with conflicts. So, for example, when you say you're developing locally and you change the title of a page, but while you're developing, or during that time, someone also has changed the live site. That same page, they've changed the title as well to something else. So whose change do you take, right? That's like a typical conflict that could happen. So our tool will offer a merge, so like a merge view. So it'll show, like, here's the conflict. What do you want to do? Do you want to take your title, or do you want to take their title, and resolve that conflict? And the idea is for that to happen in real time, so that, you know, if you're developing locally, you change a title, and then like 3 or 4 days later, someone goes and updates that page. It'll alert you of that change, that someone did that right away, so that you can resolve that conflict immediately, and not wait till, you know, the day where you're pushing everything out to the live site, and you have like all these conflicts to go through. That's not when you want to be doing that. So our solution is trying to keep the downtime to a minimum as well. So typically, what some people will do is they'll take down the live site while they figure out all the data munging that they have to do, and then like massage that live database to where it needs to be, and then they bring the site up. And that is, any developer that's done that is extremely stressful, right? Because the client wants the site up, you know, they don't want it down at all, right? And you're like screwing around with the data, and you're trying to make mistakes, and you're trying to get this thing back up, and it's just horrible. It's just no one wants to do that. So our tool will try to mitigate all of that, so that you don't have to do that anymore. And it also, the process I'm hoping people will kind of latch onto is continuously testing their migration or their deployments, essentially. So, for example, so as you're making changes locally, it'll save everything to our app. And what I want you to do is replace your local database with a live database, like on a regular basis, maybe even daily, and then apply the changes that you've saved to our cloud app on top of that database. So you're essentially doing a dry run of your deployment every day, or however often you decide to do that cycle. So then when it comes time to deployment, you've already deployed, like, 100 times maybe, depending on how long your project goes for. If it's a 3-month project, you may have actually deployed over 100 times, right? So yeah, that's kind of the way it works. I probably said too much, but
Well, my takeaway from all that is that you are trying to do this thing that people just magically assume are going to happen, and you're making it really happen. So I've got to ask, does that make you magical? Are you some sort of wizard? Or
I hope so. I mean, people have used the word Holy Grail with this, and it's, they're telling me that this is the Holy Grail. Like, if I can solve this problem, this is the Holy Grail. And they told me that right from the beginning, like really soon after we launched MigrateDB, people were using those words. And I mean, if that doesn't scream opportunity, I mean, I don't know what does, right? It screams opportunity, but it also screams extreme challenge, right? Because being the Holy Grail, it's not easy, right? If it was easy, everyone would have it, and it wouldn't be the Holy Grail, right? So it's been a huge challenge. It took us like 5 or 6 months just to develop a prototype, to the point where we were like, okay, I think what we have is providing enough value that it's not perfect, but I think people will still pay for this. I think we can build something that people will pay for.
It's interesting. Does it make you a little nervous, like the part where you said before, this seems like you definitely have an audience of people who recognize the problem and would be so excited to, take my money, please. But then you also have this audience that you acknowledged from the get-go don't know that this is a that this is a problem, and I have this preconceived notion that your existing product should be doing it already, and they're going to get the awakening that no, it doesn't do it, but there's something else you need to pay for if you do want that. Do you have like this nervous like step of like first you have to teach the client that there's a problem, then you got to sell them this other product?
Oh, absolutely. Like I would never start a business where you have to educate everyone that, like where no one knows that it's an actual problem that they have. Yeah, forget that. I would never start a business. Well, never say never, but I am a glutton for punishment, so you never know. But no, I think there's enough people that know that this is a problem. I think people know that when the right, so what a lot of developers will do for deployment is that they'll write down what they need to do. So for example, let's say they need to configure WooCommerce, okay, for a customer. They want to deploy WooCommerce on their WordPress site. Well, what they'll do is, as they were setting up WooCommerce, they'll write down, like, on a notepad what they're doing, like what settings they're setting in the UI, right? And then when it comes time to deploy, they'll install WooCommerce and they'll just go through it and they'll go through the UI and follow the instructions that they've written out, right?
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, most people are. I'm guilty of it. And so people know that that's probably not ideal, right? They know that that's a problem they have. If there was a solution that was better than that, they would totally buy it. So I think people know they have the problem. They just like they can't imagine that there's a solution out there yet. But it's when they realize that there is, I think they'll be quick to pick it up. The other thing I want to do is bundle the two. So people that get a subscription to DataHawk, I want to give them a complimentary license or like an included license for Migrate DB Pro. And the reason for that is the cycle that I was mentioning earlier. They kind of both things work really well together. So I kind of want people to use them together if possible, And there'll probably be integration points as well with the two, so that they work flawlessly together. So maybe not in the MVP, but.
So at what stage is this product in right now?
We're working on the MVP. That's all I got for you.
Well, obviously it's far enough along that it's beyond proof of concept, I would imagine. You know this is possible. You probably wouldn't have gone to the extent of branding it and talking about it if you didn't know it was possible.
Exactly. We've gone beyond the prototype phase, and we're working on the MVP, which will probably be out to like beta testers, right? The first round, and then hopefully, I'm pretty confident that saying 2016 it will be launched. That's 10 months or 10 months we've got to finish it. So I think that's definitely within the realm of doable. So
awesome. Well, Brad, it's getting down to the end of the hour. We've got just a few wrap-up questions for you that we got to ask before we call it a night. So one, taking a look at your calendar here, 2016, what kind of places and events might anybody bump into Brad Touesnard at in person?
I will be at Pressnomics in a couple weeks.
So we'll hang out.
There we go.
Can't wait.
And then, I'm going somewhere, I think.
You are going somewhere.
Where am I going? I'm going to Costa Rica in April, and then I'm going to try go to Bacon BizConf in May. And that you did hear that right, Bacon BizConf.
I love bacon.
Is this for your side business?
It's like Bring Home the Bacon. I think it's a play on that. But it's just like a small conference, very similar to MicroConf. It's smaller than MicroConf. In Philadelphia, run by Amy Hoy, and some other folks, I think. But I've never been, and so hopefully I can make it to that. Hopefully I can nab a ticket. Apparently, I think they sell out in really, really quickly. Beyond that, I'll be in June. I'll be in WordCamp Vienna with my team in Austria. So.
Wow. All right. Isn't that WordCamp Europe?
That is WordCamp Europe.
Right. Very exciting.
Yeah, so that's the first half of the year. I'll probably make it to WordCamp US again in December, because that was an awesome event. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun year. So another question for you, Brad. What are some names you can drop my way that you think would make really great guests on the show in the future?
Oh, I shouldn't have looked at your. I already looked at your list of past guests, so now it pretty much eliminates everyone. You've had some really great guests on, so.
We try.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of blanking off the top of my. I know somebody. David Heichenberger of Fat Cat Apps.
Oh, David, right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know if I'm saying his last name correctly, which is weird because I talk to him regularly. I gotta get that right. He used to work for Dan and Ian, the guys that run the Tropical MBA podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he does a couple of WordPress plugins. He does Fat Cat Apps. He does Opt-in Cat. It's like an opt-in plugin, and Easy Pricing Tables is the other one he does. So yeah, definitely have him on. Especially if you want to hear about business, he's very knowledgeable in that area. Business and WordPress plugins.
Yes, and traveling. I understand he also gets around.
He does. He lives. He's from Austria. He grew up in Austria, and then he lives in Vietnam. Although he might be somewhere else right now. So. Yeah. He travels around quite a bit.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I live vicariously through him. Right.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for that. Before we sign off, is there anything that maybe we didn't get to talk about you were hoping to discuss, or anything you wanted to plug or share or encourage people to do?
No. Just check out deliciousbrains.com. I'm on Twitter at Brad T. Applyfilters.fm is our podcast. My blog's at bradt.ca, but I post once a year, so.
Great. Well, we'll be sure to hurry and subscribe to that. And for now, I think it's been a great hour. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us, Brad. And I wish you all the best with your ventures. Really excited to see where you go with your active products and DataHawk and everything else you guys are working on. So thanks for joining us, Brad.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Brad. Really enjoyed it. There's a lot in this one.